Whether painted stroke by stroke, glazed to gleaming satisfaction, carved into clarity from roughness and obscurity, or molded from the raw and wild, works of the imagination adorn our cityscape nearly everywhere we go. We see them daily, but chances are we don't know what they mean, why they look the way they do, or what purpose they serve. These intriguing pieces of art are products of some of Hawaii's and the world's most prominent artists. Through the Art in Public Places program, these artists are able to tell stories through their pieces. Their goal is to educate the public, beautify our urban environment, and aesthetically enrich our daily lives. Ronald Yamakawa is the Executive Director of the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts.
Hawaii was the first state in the nation to pass a percent for art law back in 1967. And the legislature at that time believed that it would be important for Hawaii to have a percent law.
The concept of setting aside 1% of construction appropriations to provide a funding base for the acquisition of works of art set a national standard. The 1989 revision of the law created the Works of Art Special Fund, a non-lapsing account into which all such funds were deposited thereafter.
Over the years, we've acquired over 5,000 pieces that are displayed statewide in offices, schools, airports, libraries, and the legislature, in all their wisdom, believed that you needed works of art to enhance the environment, to make it a human environment for people to work and to visit.
Before undertaking a new construction project, the State Foundation Board appoints an art advisory committee to assist them. This committee is made up of a building's chief administrator, parts of its staff, and members of its community.
When we commission artists, we expect them to solve a design problem for us. And so the advisory committee's first task is to develop some parameters that the artist can work around.
A lot of times, the building or the space where the art piece will be placed has already been designed and many times constructed.
Getting it in the proper places, making sure that it's completely accessible for everyone in the community is absolutely vital. You can't just stick a work of art down in a community and expect it to be accepted. You've got to be inclusive. Art should be enjoyed by everyone, and everyone should be a part of the process.
So aside from giving us something to look at, how does public art affect people and its surroundings?
Well, it's out there for more people to see, frankly, when it's in a public place than it is in an enclosed building. You can merely walk, see it, enjoy it, without having to go to a building and go inside and see it. I think it sings when it's outside in a different way.
A lot of times we're looking at it, I'll say maybe even in an emotional sense, because art and architecture itself has to grab the public emotionally.
Most of the time, the people who are on the advisory committee want the work of art to reflect the subject matter or the nature of the work that goes on within the building.
Traditionally, a work of art is usually placed in close association with a building that has a high public importance.
It impacts on community pride. Works of art are often symbols of what the community aspires for.
We've been taking away a part of that natural beauty in the process of the evolution of the development of Hawaii in different areas. We do have beautiful hotels, we do have beautiful buildings of one kind or another, but it's important to replace that natural beauty with man-made beauty.
The importance of these pieces bring inherent challenges for their designers. The artists that construct them are devoted professionals, diverse in background, yet tied together in their common need to create.
I think it's a real need for me to make things and to say things through the things that I make.
Sometimes I feel as if the artwork just comes through me, that it's not really so much up to me, but that there's something that needs to be said.
A lot of times my abstract art is left to the interpretation of the viewer to a certain extent, but most people find that it lends itself to a certain interpretation or train of thought that they can play with in their mind.
I like the average person to understand what I'm doing. There's stories to be told that are important, and it's those important stories that hold our culture together.
This is an opportunity for us to convey the message to the community when it's right there on the spot.
To be as effective as possible in conveying the messages behind each piece, artists must research deep into the story or theme and find their own interpretations.
I did a piece for Aikahi Elementary School over on the other side of the island. That was a abstract sculpture that had to do with the Ahupua'a, the watershed. And so that sculpture had a form at the top that was curved and suggested the way the valley catches the water and channels it down.
When I first went to Waianae, I realized that the place is dry. And when I look at education, I feel that education is needed in every community, just like water in the community of Waianae. Kamaile can be a source of education for the community, so was the water spring back in those days.
And ka mo'oili'ili means the dragon in pieces. It comes from a story of Pele's sister, Hi'iaka, who has a battle with Pahoa, who sends a huge mo'o, a dragon, down from up by Wa'ahila Ridge, St. Louis, to come down and kill her. To fulfill that story, what I did is I built a mo'o, or a dragon, that's half buried in the ground here. This is the claws of the mo'o, and back there in the middle is the head, and way in the back is the back of the mo'o.
Even as we speak, these and other artists are working on even more projects to be displayed in the near future.
This is the maquette or model that I made for the project I'm working on now for Pearl Ridge Elementary School.
The piece I'm working on at Kapoi High School is centered around the o'opu. It's a freshwater fish that lives at the top of the water system. In other words, they live at the ridges of our mountain chain. I think the metaphor of this fish is what we hope our students will adopt. That fight, that in spite of all the obstacles, will continue to get to the tops of the mountains.
One of the reasons why I like this story, it has to do with King Kamehameha himself. In the small maquette, it shows the fisherman is really angry, and it's more like showing the animal within him. But when it comes to the larger design, I feel that we need to show the human within the man, because that's what stands out the most. And that's why I feel that this design has to do with that. To show the two fishermen, they probably never fought before, but they were willing to do it to protect their family.
This is what it's going to look like. It has an abstraction of a pearl in a setting here, and then overall the piece is like a happy child. So the metaphor there is that the mind of a child is a precious object that takes a long time to develop in a cultured environment.
I've been showing since I was in college and in informal art galleries, and I still do. But nothing can beat the reactions from people who may not know anything about art.
Some people may think that this is work, but it is fun. I guess when you can call it work when your heart and your mind are not there.
I get real sore muscles and I get real filthy dirty and I make a lot of noise and bother a lot of people, but I have to say I really like it a lot.
I'm very much compelled to do it. If I didn't have a job doing it, I would do it anyway. I can't stop. I make art.
As our society changes, so will our city, our interests, and thus the ways in which we express ourselves. In much the same way a chisel strike can shape the finish of granite, the works commissioned through the Art in Public Places program have and will continue to shape the everyday lives of Hawaii's general public. And these storytellers, whose palettes consist not of pen and paper, but canvas and brush, hand and clay, and furnace and ore, will continue to enrich the outdoor spaces of our communities, one piece at a time.